right, welcome back to Gun Bunny Customs, and today we're going to be doing an episode on the latest vehicles that were revealed the last couple of days from the G.I. Joe classified line, and it was the All Striker for G.I. Joe and the Snake Armor for Cobra. And so I wanted to kind of do a little an episode that kind of goes over my opinion of them, kind of comparing them to their original the original toys and other kind of comparable, I guess, models or comparable vehicles to them. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're going to do the Snake Armor first. Now, as a child, Snake Armor was always one of my favorites. It was one of the things that I wanted to army build, but obviously I couldn't because I was a child. But in my childhood imagination, I wanted to, I guess, what you would consider like a fleet or whatever of these of the Snake Armors. And I always loved the episode where they're in the cave, and then they turn around, right? Their backs are rock, but they're hidden in there. And I always thought that was so cool. I always thought it looked very intimidating. The bulkiness of it, the kind of classic shape of the eyes. I mean, there was something about that shape that just really made it look, I don't know, high tech and intimidating. The fact that you could switch out the accessories, or the weapons in the hands was awesome. And also the fact that they gave you some like a fake legs and fake figure to keep it together if you didn't want to waste a figure being in there. And I always thought that was cool. It had the computer screen on the back, and it was just one of my favorites. So early on, I ended up getting this off of Macari. Now, it was white when I got it. I obviously painted it Tiger Force because I'm me. But it was something that I wanted so bad that I got a 3D printed model of it. Now, a lot of people have made these, and I got this one pretty early on. I got that probably in 2020. And so, I mean, the quality of the print is pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It was just a random guy on Macari. It wasn't any of like the more well-known printers now, like Mark II or Anthanatos or Gridiron or geez, who else am I leaving out? All those guys. And so, like I said, unfortunately, the print is pretty rough, and you can see. It's rough. It doesn't really even hold together. It's got magnets, and you can see it's pretty thin. You can almost see it going through the other side. So, but it was good enough for me in a display like that, and it just broke. It just broke right there. So yeah, this wasn't a very good print, and but it was good enough for me to do the job of sitting on the shelf, looking like Snake Armor, and of course I had to, like I said, Tiger Force it up. So I'm definitely looking forward to the new ones. I'm definitely looking forward to the big ones that's coming out. And I have to say, I am very kind of, I'm really excited about these. I'm definitely going to be getting multiples of these. Now, you can kind of look at it, and I'll put up the picture of the one from Hasbro Pulse. If you look at it, you can kind of see in the middle where the torso meets the waist, so you can see where the hinge is at that point. So it looks like the hinge is going to come forward, which is about like right here on there. And it looks like it's going to come forward. And then you can see that the head of it is kind of sunken into the shoulders. So I'm thinking that the head is going to swing back, and then that front portion is going to come out. And that's how you're going to be able to put the figure in there. Now, it hasn't shown what figure it's going to come with, but my guess, if I had to make an educated guess, is it's going to be another female driver because that's a smaller figure. And from what I hear, this thing is supposed to be pretty big. It's not going to be, size comparable like to this one where it's just bigger than the figure. This one is going to be much larger to where the figure fits in the top half. So you're talking, I don't know, 12 to 13 inches maybe. When you take into account the thickness of the plastic and all that kind of stuff, and then him having to scrunch in there and still be big enough to close all that stuff. So it's got to be a pretty sizable toy. And so I'm guessing it's going to be like, probably about the same cost as the Vamp, since it is going to be coming with the driver. So I'm looking about $100 for each one of those. That's my guess. I do like the classic. It comes with the same sort of classic accessories of the flamethrower, the laser and the missile and the claw, and then you get also the kind of the robotic Johnny Five hands. And I just think it's great. I think it's an awesome design. I think they did a spectacular job with it. I'm curious to see the back. I'm curious to see how the figure fits and what the figure's going to look like, a snake armor and a trooper. And what I'm guessing is it's going to be almost like a bone white color. It's going to have to kind of go along with the snake. I don't think it's going to be blue. I don't think it's going to be driver gray the way that the Stinger and Ferret, their drivers are gray. So in my mind, I'm picturing like a bone white female trooper, which I think would look pretty phenomenal. And like I said, I'm definitely going to army build these. I would like at least maybe 6, 2 to paint up and 4 to keep stock in the display, and then maybe 1 more to keep in the box, so maybe 7. But I'm definitely gonna be getting these. I think it's one of the best things that Hasbro has done in this line so far. I'm sad that we're kind of getting it, this late in the game, but I'm happy that we're getting it. I'm just happy that we're getting it. I think this is one of the best updated designs with enough classic features to it to satisfy everybody, the people who want the retro look, the people who want the more modern look. And the fact that it's going to be the size that it is very, very appealing to me. Having something that big and massive in your display on either side of Cobra Commander's throne room or whatever your setup looks like. But to me, I think this one is a home run for sure. So now we're going to go to the All Striker. Now, unfortunately, I do not care for G.I. Joe's version of the All Striker. And the reason for it, let me get to the page. There it is right there. So there's the original one. And the reason that I'm not too fond of it is it looks more in the vein of a remote control car. It looks more like the Crossfire. And I'm trying to remember what year the Crossfire came out. It was called the RC Crossfire. And it was more like a Tamiya Grasshopper. If you remember those from childhood. The Tamiya Grasshopper. Oh, here it is right here. The Crossfire. See, to me, it has more of those dimensions. Which, to me, that does it for me in this capacity because it is what it is as an RC car. But in a updated version of it like that, where it's a 6-inch version, I think it's a huge miss. And to me, it's basically the front tires. If you look at Hasbro's design and you look back and forth between that and the classic All Striker, there is a lot of similarities in the body, but I think where they kind of went astray is those wheels. Stop chewing on my table, please. Is the wheels. And so the smaller front tires is what gives it the aesthetic of like a remote control car, and doesn't give it the beefiness of the front on this one. So I mean, I just think that's what throws off the look the most. Now the top portion where the gunner seat is and all that bigger cage like that, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't dislike it and I don't like it. I would have to get more of more product shots, more renders so we can see the 360 of it. But as of right now, I'm not that big of a fan of it. Now I know where they're going from. They're going from the design of the original vehicle that this is designed after, and it is set up that way. But I'm a bigger fan of this. I think this looks cleaner. I dig the classic look of this more. And like I said, it's really, the profile is all about the front wheels. Now, if you also remember, if you look at the original one, the way that it sits lower in the front. So it's got a little bit of a kind of a rake to it. This one, even though it's got the smaller wheels, it's level. If you look at the bottom of the running boards, they're parallel to the deck, and that to me also gives it the wrong profile. It needs to have a little bit of it needs that nose dipped down just a little bit, and it'll give it more of that classic stance. And I think it's just that in the tires and the cage really kind of throw it off for me. I'm still hopeful because of how great the Vamp was and still is. I think it's one of their best releases. But unfortunately, I think on this one they kind of missed the mark. I think Gridiron's Hound looks infinitely better. And shout out to Mark on that design. Him and his team, him and his boys, they did an amazing job. And if you go to their site and you can see it 360. It just, to me, it has more of that aggressive look that the original one had. Now, also, what I like about the Gridiron's design is I like how they didn't put the cage on top, right? So if you look at in the back where the gunner is either going to stand or be seated, it looks better, and the weaponry that can go on top to me looks better than just the same 50 cal that we've been getting all along. Now, the other thing I am curious about the Hasbro one is if you look in the passenger seat, there's an M60 that is attached to the front on a turret. Now, in the original one, it's got a little. I was always under the impression that was the controller for this, right? So the person in the passenger seat could control shooting the cannon on top. Also, if you look on the back, there was 2 circles on either side that to me look like, and I would set it up this way where you could connect the hands of the G.I. Joe and stand them up on the back, so then that way they could manually shoot it from the back as well. So this wasn't its own gun in the front. Now, I do like that they added that M60. I think that's a cool touch to have the A driver's gun attached like that, to have a little a turret for it. I think that's a cool update. But I just happen to like the way Gridiron's looks more. The way that the tires are bigger in the front gives it more of that, like I said, aggressive classic look. Now, I know there's another company that's releasing theirs, and from what I can tell, and I want to say it's the same guys that are making the Skyhawk kind of vehicle. And that, to me, that one looked really nice because it was more of sort of a real world. It's sort of just a scaled down version of the real world vehicle. So all of its proportions, even though the tires are smaller and all that stuff, it looks better because it is basically almost, I'm guessing, a 1-to-1 of the original vehicle with minor variations. Whereas if you look at Hasbro's, it still has that toy look, and it doesn't have enough of the real world vehicle in it to make it look cool, and it doesn't have enough of the original toy in it to make it look cool. I mean, it just looks like a little RC car. It looks like a Tamiya Grasshopper to me, and I think I'm saying that gives it a miss for something that we were all really excited to see. Now, another thing that I'm not not liking is that Crankcase doesn't come with his original rifle or any kind of variant of that in any way. He does come with a sidearm, and he does come with a slew of other accessories that I could really care less for. A coffee cup, a visor, the face bandana is kind of cool. The motocross helmet is kind of cool, but none of that's necessary to me. I would have preferred, it stick closer to the classic look. I like them including the binoculars. I think that's a good touch for him as a driver. But I would have rather them take the plastic that they use for that goofy coffee cup, visor, the bandanas, and the motocross helmet. I would have rather them use that plastic and all of that money for the tooling of those 5 things just to make this rifle. Now, with the Vamp, Clutch came with not only the pistol here, but he also came with the shotgun, which he did not come with originally. So I would have just, if they're going to give Clutch a shotgun that he didn't come with, why not give Crankcase the rifle that he did, originally come with? So that's it. Other than that, I think Crankcase is an awesome figure. I think he looks great. I do like his helmet. I like the way his the rendition, the render of his face and everything else. I like it. I like that they included the rocket launchers on the side. That's very close to like the actual original vehicle from the photos I've seen. I like that. I just don't like the extra roll cage and the small front wheels. You know what I mean? If they could somehow change that, I would be happy with that. Even just putting the bigger tires in the front, I think would make everybody happy. Now, some people have said that they went with smaller tires in the front as a cost saving measure. So I started thinking about, well, how is it saving costs if they had to come up with two new molds? Because you have the tire and then you have the actual wheel, when they could have just used the same mold from the wheels and tires in the rear. So they actually had to pay for more tooling to give you less product, in my mind. You know what I mean? Since we're getting smaller stuff. Now, this guy right here, oh, here's that control thing. So this guy right here was a model kit, and I got to try to make an all striker out of. And a few years ago, I can't remember the name of the company. It starts with an F. They did a line of models for the G.I. Joe Classified line when it came out. And it was Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They did the model kits of the figures. They did model kits of two motorcycles for them, two sport bikes for them that came with, had weapons and stuff all in it. And then they also released this All Striker, obviously, for Snake Eyes. And I got it in hopes of it being able to work with Classified, but those model figures are at about 5.5 inches, 5 or 5.5 inches. So they're slightly, they're smaller enough to create a difference, such a difference that it's not workable. And it was originally a 2-seater, and so I was trying to make it to where I could just put one and make this a center drive and just make it Snake Eyes' All Striker. But the look of it is the classic All Striker, right? With the same size, wheels and tires all the way around, the minimal cage. Now, it did come with the weapon on top that looked really goofy. And as a model kit goes, it was extremely expensive. I think these originally went for like between $80 and $100, and I ended up getting this on sale at Hobby Lobby for I think it was like $25 or $30, and that's the only reason I got it. I wasn't going to pay that amount of money for a model kit, and it might not work, but when it was that cheap, I just went ahead and got it. It's a snap together kit, but it doesn't really hold very well, so you would have to glue it. But the problem with it is in here and on the inside of the cab, because this is so scrunched down in the front and you have the suspension that goes across. There's no way to really open this up to allow them to put their feet in. And so that's why I never really use it, because once you open it up, the feet are going to be sticking out in this portion here where it's going to be visible. Right in here, you're going to be able to see their feet into the suspension. And to me, it was the juice wasn't going to be worth the squeeze on that one. I was just going to have to take a loss, and I just thought, well, I'll just put it in the background somewhere in a photo shoot or something like that. But unfortunately, it just didn't work. But that was my, I guess, semi first attempt on creating an All Striker. But I was hopeful that we would get one that was closer looking to this. All right, so that's going to be it for today's episode. Like I said, I think the Snake armor is a friggin' home run. I'm going to be buying as many of those as I can. The All Striker, I'm not totally happy or convinced with as far as getting it. If I get it, I might just get one or two, one to keep box and then one to, have in the display and to get a crankcase. But it doesn't seem like something that I would want to army build the way that I wanted to army build the Vamp. I wish they would just release another line of the Vamps. I'm sure they're using that mold for the Mark II and for the Tiger Force version or whatever other versions that they're going to release. But I really do wish that they would do an original, a run again of the original one. So then that way, for all the people who miss it, and then for all the people who want to buy multiples of it again, I think that was it's something that I wish that they would do, and I would rather have that than the All Striker. All right, so that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Follow Gun Bunny Customs on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.